Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to look at cycles today. How many are overlapping and culminating right this second? And since spring is here, ancient iconography, i.e. stone-carved pictures, happy spring equinox day. This year it was March 20th, surely not January 1st. New growth, and when people do their New Year's resolution, that's why they can't hold it. You're still making the resolution in winter, not spring. Try to make your resolutions right now. And this is one thing, again, this obfuscation of history and the different numbers in the months and the holidays being at the wrong time and changed through history. The calendar's been changed. So really, with the biorhythms of our human species that's supposed to be in tune with these, why would we celebrate the new year in the middle of winter? Why would we not wait until spring for it to be? Well, in many cultures across our ancient past, they waited for the new year to be celebrated at these times. Why is it that the 10th month of our year is October, which is an octa, octagon, octave, 8? Why is it the wrong month? December, diciembre, deci, 10. That's the wrong month. So we're being told clearly that something is out of order with the cycles the way they used to be comparatively to what they are now. And again, the Gregorian calendar, the way it was, well, recalculated in different days and putting leap years in there, something's definitely off. But when we look at the true nature of our cycle, of how our body moves through these different seasons, we're celebrating and consuming foods at the different times that aren't exactly the best for us. More powerful outcome at the correct time, buyer beware. Economic cycles, here we are, 1929, 1966, 1999. Then the overvaluation across the board. That circle to the right is our present time. And if we fast forward a sliver, you can start to see we've trended down on that. And now if we look back in the dollar cycle, it overlays on that. And we look at Plaza Accords, tech bubble. And this might be the reason that we're seeing so much strangeness happening. Gold prices running away. Stocks are going all over the place. There's tariffs coming in everywhere. And it seems like the apple cart was already like kind of in mid-motion, like you'd see a cartoon, and all the apples were flying out. And this is where we sit right now. There were so many things, events pointing to this. Something was going to be reset at this time anyway. Now, could it be food production wiping out across the planet due to different magnetic field and, jet streams, this sort of thing changing? Precipitation patterns moving on a cycle in itself. But this whole thing through history is always tied together. Population migration, economic reset, and then restructuring of government, how they oversee the citizenry. These are just fingerprints through history. And it's happening again. And why now? That's more the question. Why right now is all this happening? Now, 2025 seems to be like this culmination year. So I would ask you, just to ask yourself as a serious question, why now? Why now? Unless this was a natural cycle that couldn't be overcome and it was going to be ridden on top of to create a greater outcome. Regardless of what we have done or could do with our present technology, we couldn't move through this cycle. Whether it's electromagnetic or whether it was just food production collapse. Whatever it is, why now? What if I told you that groundbreaking studies have uncovered a therapy so powerful it's helping people achieve what was once thought impossible? Imagine having the energy of someone half your age, the skin of somebody 20 years younger. That's what thousands are experiencing with red light therapy. Whether you're battling chronic fatigue, stubborn weight gain, joint pain, autoimmune flare-ups, just minutes a day with clinical grade red light, it works by recharging your cell's mitochondria, like fueling billions of tiny batteries in your body. This is especially powerful for immune cells, which need massive energy to function at their best. That's why countless studies show red light therapy's incredible benefits. Not all devices are created equal. You need medical grade power and all 9 healing wavelengths, ensuring maximum power deliverability for deep cellular healing with no harmful EMF. Want to learn more? Go to myredlight.com, use the coupon code ADAPT2030 to get 10% off your purchase. One device serves the whole family and pays for itself in months. Don't settle for fatigue, pain, and premature aging. Reclaim your vitality with Red Life. And I'll bring you to the food. America isn't a food superpower anymore. I mean, look at the drop-off, precipitous drop-off there. And this is annual trade deficits for ag commodities, the 70-year chart here. Something's definitely jumped the shark. And again, is it our productivity? Because I'll bring it back to the fourth turning. These 80-year cycles, the winter cycle is what we're seeing now, the decline. And once we come to the bottom of this, we're going to get back into that hopeful cycle again, where people really have a lot of hopefulness for the beginning of this new, whatever be the next part of new technology, new economy. People have very much hope that the next year will be better than the previous, but we're the opposite. Everybody's looking going, whoa, I better hold off on my spending. Things are starting to trickle and drop off like a roller coaster on that first hill down. And you see everywhere, when that happens, we come into a war, whether it's the Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, and it's blocked off there very cleanly, and it's starting to fit that we are getting close to what is needed. Because I was super shocked here when Larry Fink, of all people, Mr. No Bitcoin, anti-Bitcoin a few years ago, now comes out and says Bitcoin will be the new next reserve currency. Totally shocked by that statement. These trade wars aren't going to make American farming great again. Again, we're going to need to give massive subsidies to the farmers on the exports they will lose, but maybe that's it. Maybe that's the ploy to keep the food in the country as an excuse, because you would get panicked. And the markets would panic if they said, you know what, we're not going to have the ability to grow as much food anymore on the planet. Something's just shifted. We'll leave it at that. The shift, irregardless if it was electromagnetic, solar system-wide, spiral arm of the galaxy-wide, doesn't matter. If they were to come out and say that, we need to hold off the food, we need to keep it all in the country, we can't export anymore because you know what, there won't be enough food for Americans, that would spook everybody. But now with all these other things going on, there's tariffs, the trade wars. Oh, by the way, most of the food's going to stay in the country, no export buyers. That's a much more palatable excuse to feed, no pun intended, to the population of the world. They're not going to panic about that. They're going to get angry. They'll hold a few signs. But they're not going to go all out nuts and withdraw all their money out of the bank account to prepare for something in the next year or two. They'll just keep trobbing along, happy, and just as if everything's going okay. It's just a little bump in the road because of the tariffs. But contrary to popular belief, you can still eat rather healthily in America. It's just going to cost you $129 for that little sliver of stuff. You're going to have to think of a different way to overcome this. Now, that's inflation, and I wouldn't say it's hyperinflation, but it's extreme inflation. But here's Turkey. In 2010, you could buy a car for a lower price than you can buy an electric scooter. That's only 15 years. Now look at the degradation in buying power. Now if the same thing, and it is beginning in America right now, what will you do over these years to preserve your buying power? You're going to buy more eggs. You can invest in eggs. 238% up. Eggflation, extortion. U.S. food inflation since 2021. Now this one only runs through January, the end of January 2025, like a couple months ago. But you can see coffee's up, sugar's up, ground beef's up. So ice cream, butter, rice, everything's going up. Oh, by the way, rice forecast, 5 to 8% global losses in rice production this year. So that number should definitely cruise up. White bread, they're going to use wheat, which is forecast 4% global reduction this year. So that price will go up again next year. Keep these in mind. They're all related on how much food we can produce. So speaking of eggs, I found this interesting chart here. If you cook eggs with certain oils, waters, cream, fats, whatever, it will look like this when you're done cooking it sunny side up. Cream, brown butter, olive oil. Looks nice. And then we got butter and oil. I never tried that combo before. Bacon fat looks nice. Coconut oil. But notice at the very bottom the canola oil. That is kind of the worst looking one of them all, I do believe. This pop quiz for you. So what kind of bird, when you boil the egg, does the egg white turn translucent? Because we're used to boiling eggs and it turns white, the egg yolk. So what kind of bird is this? Penguin. Penguin eggs. And staying on eggs, Finland turns down U.S. request for eggs. So the U.S. said, hey, Finland, you got extra eggs. Can you give them to us? And they said, no, we already have food shortages. So that in itself is telling that other nations in the EU are saying, hey, we have food shortages too. They were trying to mask this for such a long time, but it's out in the open now. You really can't hide it anymore. The inflation's really showing it. So now other nations are requesting other nations for food assistance, and they're saying, no, we can't do it. So now the secret is out. And how much more expensive will it get? And at what point do you really realize it, because it becomes the news stories of the day? This is not available. How many stores are closing? I saw Kohl's, JCPenney, all these others are closing in advance of tariffs, but the food is going to fit in here somewhere also. The food's going to be here as a domino to something else. So I guess to survive this, we are going to have to be, shall we say, camouflaged. Don't tell anybody what resources you have at your homes. Please keep that, well, like the cheetah hiding in the woods there. And the only way around that is growing your own. It is springtime. TrueLeafMarket.com. Heirloom organic seeds for any grow zone on our planet. That link's in the description box below. Every purchase you make helps me keep running on air here. And please share with friends and family so they can get into the discussion as well. I will see you next time. Bye for now.